So yes, Kant has this profound effect on the ambitions of philosophy. It's metaphysical ambitions. It's ambitions to cover the big questions and to provide answers to the human species for these questions, which, as Kant said, it is by its very nature led to ask, always to ask, because being a rational creature leads you to seek an understanding of the basics of the world. So there is, following Kant, a real difference in tone and scope and ambition of philosophy. Philosophy, of course, continues. 19th century is a great time for philosophical thought in the West. But you don't see too many attempts to prove the existence of God, things like that. You see other ambitious projects in philosophy, but that sort of thing kind of goes out of fashion, you might say. That sort of ambitious metaphysical project, something along the lines of a Thomas Aquinas or St. Anselm. Some people would applaud that and say, well, philosophy's finally gotten serious. Let's talk about the philosophical problems associated with natural science and our knowledge of the natural world, rather than these lofty, ambitious attempts to understand these big questions. And there is a lot of movement in philosophy in the 19th and 20th century just simply to dismiss those big questions as being nonsense, that they never made sense, they never will make sense, and we are better off without them. And that's certainly a way that you can think of metaphysics, the traditional questions of metaphysics. I'm thinking of those specific metaphysical questions that we're referring to, the existence of God, the possibility of the immortality of the soul, possibilities for human freedom, for instance. But there are also philosophers who thought that this was really a tragedy, and that moreover this was a philosophical failure to the human species, because human beings are naturally interested in these questions, and philosophy should have something to say about them, and some way of making sense of them beyond simply dismissing them, or to say that they can't be rationally discussed, and they certainly can't be resolved because they transcend the limits of our experience. So what I'd like to do in the last section, though, is to look at a couple of modern thinkers, William James and Charles Hartshorne, from the late 19th, early 20th century, and then early and mid 20th century. How do modern thinkers approach the big questions after Kant, after this critique of pure reason, and after this limiting of the ambitions of metaphysics?